Hello guys, I'm Nelson from Nelcity Technologies. To our new subscribers, welcome to our channel, and to our very loyal subscribers and viewers, welcome and welcome back to our channel. So today we want to cover another interesting topic. Is a router the internet? So this is a myth that so many people keep telling us or saying. My router is the internet. Is it? No, it's not. So first, I'll start by taking you through these products we have here. Then we'll now go back to covering that interesting topic. Is a router the internet? So let's first look at this. So this is a SIM card modem. It's 4G as compared to this one. This is also a modem. It's 3G stroke 4G. This is a MiFi. It's a 4G MiFi. Uses SIM card. This is an 8-port switch. And this other one, a 5-port switch. This one is a Wi-Fi dongle. This Wi-Fi dongle. This one is a router, of which this our main focus is on the router today. This one is a tender router. And finally, this one is an LB-Link router. Another interesting device, of which most of us haven't seen this. This is an access point. This is also another access point. So let me ask, what is the internet? Can give me your view on what is the internet in the comment section. So the internet is an interconnection of devices, servers, and infrastructure globally. That's the simple explanation I'll give as of now. So we want to look at the router and ask ourselves, is the router the internet or not? I want us to unbox the tender router and see how it looks like. Okay? Yes. So let me unbox this. This is the router, tender router actually. So that's how it looks like. These are the antennas. Then we have Ethernet port here. We have the power port, and we have the reset button. Then we have the indicator displays to show you which port is connected to where, whether the router is on or not. So yes. Then we also have the manual, and as you can see the manual, here is the router, and internet is located so far away from the router, in the shape of a cloud sort of. So here is the internet. This is a router, this is a modem, and so on. Power. So that's the user manual for this router. We also have the patch code or Ethernet cable. This is how it looks like. Here. So these are RJ45 clips, these two at the end. This is the cable, these are the RJ45 clips. Finally, we have the power adapter. This is the power adapter. It's a 3-pin power adapter. Okay. What is a router? A router is a device that simply controls traffic. A network device that simply controls traffic to other devices. This one doesn't function on its own. The work of this router is to provide Wi-Fi wirelessly or via LAN cable. LAN cable is the Ethernet cable. It doesn't mean that if you have this, the way it looks, you have the internet. This is just a device to control the data traffic from it to other devices. So for you now to access the internet, you need a service provider. What is a service provider or ISP? Service provider is the organization that provides the data network. Okay, for example, we have Safaricom, we have Airtel. In Kakamega we have Vilcom, we have BlazeNet, we have Apple Wi-Fi, and so many other organizations. So those are the ISP or service provider. So the difference between this standard router and this LB Link router is that for this it needs a SIM card. Okay, as it is written here, plug and play. So this one accesses data via SIM card. But for this, you also need to have a service provider who will bring the data to you via cable. Okay, so this data will be from a point. Let's say we use a scenario whereby we have a point A where the ISP provider is located to this building. So we'll have to get data from the ISP provider from the cable. So the IP provider from the cable, data passes through this cable, and now it will be linked to your router. So from the ISP, this data links to your router. Hope I'm understood there. So we have the ISP or service provider provides the service, which is now data. Data flows through this cable, and you at your house you have a router. So the data comes to your router for you to access now this data, for you to access the internet, which is a connection of devices, a global connection of devices. Okay, so as compared to this one, my service provider will be the company that gives you the SIM card. As it is drawn here, this uses a SIM card. So our service provider will be one, Safaricom, Airtel, Fiber, and Telcom. Those SIM cards will use it inside this router for us now to access the data, for us to connect to the internet. So this alone without the SIM card doesn't connect you to the internet. This alone without a service provider doesn't connect you with the internet. So many of us normally say, I want a router, I want to connect to the internet. But remember, router without the data, it's just like you having a phone without the SIM card. The phone is ready to work, but can't connect you online. Why? You don't have data, you don't have the SIM card, which should be having data to enable you connect to the online world. Okay, if you don't understand, kindly leave a comment in the comment section, the part where you haven't understood. Then we'll also redo another clip to explain it further. Hope you've understood the difference between the two. This one uses SIM card, this one doesn't use a SIM card. Come to this other one. This is also a router, TP-Link router. So this and these work alike because they don't use SIM card. We have to get data from a service provider via cable. When you've gotten the data via this cable, you connect it to the one port here, the first port written 1. So this is the source. I connect it there. Then we have this extra 3 ports. So from here, I can connect to someone. Let's say I have a neighbor. I can connect a cable here to another router to my neighbor, so that we also share the same data from our service provider. So we'll connect these 3 ports can connect a laptop, a computer, a switch, which is here. So we can connect another cable to this switch. Remember, this is from our ISP or service provider, this cable. We've connected it to the main port, which is written the one port, WAN. We've connected it to the one port. This is the main port. Then we have other ports, 1, 2, 3. These ones are ports for sharing the network from the provider. So we have this cable from provider, this from the provider, and now we can share this network to our neighbor via our cable here. Now this one will go to our neighbor. So this neighbor also has a router, this router. So I'll use TP-Link illustration. So this cable will also move to the one port of this router. For TP-Link, it's labeled blue. Okay. This will move to the one port of the other router. But remember, this other router is not the service provider. We are still depending on data from the service provider. All the data is from here, but we are now sharing this network with other devices. Let's say the router. I'm assuming now these ports are less. Let's say we've shared it with other neighbors and we have lesser ports. So we'll use this, the switch. Doesn't matter the port. So this is an 8 port switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this other one, this one is a 5 port switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll use this for illustrations. So we have it here, 5 port switch. So I'll use it for illustration. Now we want to share our network. This one, any port will be active as long as we've inserted this here. We can now share data from our router to other devices also. This is more of a physical extension of the LAN ports, the router ports. Remember, this router supports sharing of network either via LAN, which is the cable, or wirelessly. That's why it supports Wi-Fi connections. Wi-Fi is the wireless connection, then LAN connection is the cable connection. This is just an extension of the LAN ports. So we have now data is from the router to this switch. We call it a switch. There are labels. To avoid confusion, there are labels. So we have 1 on this side, 2, 3 in that order. So let me place it on port 1. So now we can also share this network to other devices. So with this, I can also extend it to the end user from this any port. I'll place this here. Yes, we are now extending our network from the ISP provider. We've come to the router. From the router, we've shared our network to the 5-port switch, and now we want to also share our network with the end user. So this is my end user, so I'll place it here. Okay, so here is our connection. Hope it is understood. Therefore, internet is now the global network where all these devices are connected, from the ISP provider to the end user. So all these devices, that connection is the internet. That's why from the drawing of the router, the user manual, we saw it in form of a cloud. So it's just an imaginary global connection of all these devices, from the satellite, the ISP provider, the router, the laptop, the switch, and so many other devices that will be connected to this network. Okay, so this is a basic explanation of why your router is not the internet, but the internet is a global network of all these devices. Is that understood? If you have understood it, kindly like the video. I'll progress with a little bit of an explanation of these others. Let me also talk about this. These ones are access points. Mostly you will find them on sometimes high at the walls, or you'll see others at the rooftops, or majorly at the high points of a building. They basically work as the router, so simply help in sharing the network. Let's say from a building to another building, we can use the access points, and also to share a network through a big area wirelessly. So these are access points, Wi-Fi access points. So we can now use this to extend the strength of the routers, or to share a network to other buildings wirelessly, because you find sometimes the range of the routers is slightly lower, so that's why this come in. Create hotspots in a certain region, or simply extend Wi-Fi to other buildings and let it be strong. This is a MiFi. It also supports SIM card, just like this other router we looked at. This one too supports SIM card. Okay, for MiFi, it will only support wireless connection. It will enable you access Wi-Fi connection, but you have to use a SIM card. So our SIM card is where we come into the service provider. As I had said, service provider will now be Safaricom, Airtel, Fiber, or Telcom, because you are using their SIM card to access data for you now to have a connection to the internet, a global connection from the server. Now the ISP provider have servers which helps you to get data to this device, but now there will be a wireless connection between the servers and this device. Okay, this is how it looks. This one looks like this, and the back. So it has a SIM card slot. It has switch buttons, place it off, and a display surface for you to see the data rate that is being used here, and also has a charging port, Type-C charging port. So this one uses battery. For it to work, it has to be powered by a battery. So this one depends on SIM card for you to access data. Also, we look at the modems. So these two are modems. These two. One is 4G and the other one is 3G 4G. So these ones also support use of SIM card, but they are dependent on the USB port. For them to work, they have to be inserted at the USB port of, let's say, a laptop. So you can't share this via the Ethernet cable. This one is used directly by the end user. Let's say a laptop, you will insert it to the USB, but it also supports SIM card. It has a SIM card slot. So after you've inserted the SIM card and it has data, you will now be online for you to access the internet, which is a connection, a global network where you have connected from the servers of the ISP provider to this device, then you link it to your laptop. So this is a modem. So with the rise of technology, this not commonly used, the router is what is commonly used. Another crucial device is this. This is called a Wi-Fi dongle, USB Wi-Fi dongle. So let me remove it from the box so that you can actually see the physical product. This one helps. Now you have the router, you have the network linked to your device, but you find now your laptop doesn't support Wi-Fi. You now use this to enable the laptop's functionality of accessing Wi-Fi connections. Just like the desktop computers, majorly the desktop you have to use LAN to access the network, but for this you'll now insert it to the USB port of the desktop so that now you can access the Wi-Fi connections around that have been provided by the router. So the router will give you a Wi-Fi connection. Now this will help your device to access this Wi-Fi. This is not a network provider. It is only a device that helps the desktop or laptop to link to the router wirelessly. Okay, hope my explanations have been understood, and now people will no longer call this an internet. This is just a mere router. We should not confuse this to be the internet. Now in the next part, I'll take you through a brief configuration of the tender router, how you configure it. After maybe you have an access from the service provider, we'll now look at how do you configure the tender router for our case example. I want to do an explanation on router configuration. Since we've already talked about the router and how it works, we'll now do a sample of how to configure the router. For our case, we are using the tender router. This is the power cord we talked about in the unboxing process. So this is the power links to the router. It's now on. As you can see, the Wi-Fi signal is on, meaning this router can give out signal, but remember, there's no data that will be passed. So if you connect it to your phone, you will find it telling you connected, no internet, because there is no data, since we haven't gotten any source from the ISP. So assuming we connect to our ISP, this cable should now be linked at this point for us to connect it to our ISP. But now this is the point, this is the signal from the ISP or another router that has data. But since we haven't connected it to data, this is now an example of configuration process. So we don't need the ISP provider for this case. First, you have to ensure the router is on, then the Wi-Fi signal is on, that on. Then we'll move to our laptop and check if we can see the router name or the Wi-Fi name. So I'll move to the Wi-Fi list. As you can see, we have several Wi-Fi. The first one is Tender, Nelcity, Bender, Bonzo, and so many. So for our case, it's the Tender. For our case, it's the Tender Wi-Fi. Right now, this router has no password, so we'll connect directly to the Wi-Fi without password. So I'll connect. So as you can see, it's connected but no internet because we have no data from the ISP provider. So it's connected, no internet. So once it's connected, you can now move to your browser. For my case, I'll use Brave browser, but you can use Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Safari for Mac users. So I'll use Brave. It has opened automatically to that site. So if this site doesn't come automatically, you'll use the IP address written at the back of this router. So there is an IP address somewhere there, 192.168.0.1. So I'll use that. Let me type on how we've come to this point. So I'll say 192.168.0.1. Enter. So we'll still come to the same point, the Tender site. So this is the IP address for this router. IP address is an identifier to identify this device in the internet, because we say the internet is a global network of all the devices. So after typing the IP address, you'll come to this site. So this site will be, the user front of this site will depend on the type of router. For TP-Link will also be different. The color theme will also be different. So for our case, as you can see, we have the different connection types. Then we have a password from the username, from the ISP password. So for our case, we'll need a dynamic IP. Okay, we'll need a dynamic IP so that all the devices that connect to this will be auto-connected and given their address. So if you read here, select dynamic IP if your internet can be auto-connected with no account or static IP info set. So we are giving our devices automatic address. So here, at this point, we can now set our Wi-Fi name. For example, this is Tender E59. So I can change this to something like, let me say, router test, because we are explaining this. Then I can now set my password. I can say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, because it needs 8 characters. So as you can see, that's my password. Let me view. That's the password. Then I press OK. So you can see at that point the wireless connection has as it is saved first, the password has been saved and the wireless connection has been disconnected. Please connect to Wi-Fi name. So I can now go back to my Wi-Fi list and look for the name we had set. So we can refresh here. So if you look at that, we now have router test as our Wi-Fi name. Then we can connect by clicking on that and say connect. Then we press our password 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. You can confirm, see if it's yes, that's okay. Then next, do you want to allow your PC to share? No or yes, depending on whether you want to share your network with other devices. So as you can see now, it's connected with our router name as router test. Then password we've entered. Now it's no internet, but it's secured because we have entered the password. So it's connected but no internet because we are just using this for explanation. We have no internet source from the provider. So assuming we have the internet from the provider, now this router can be linked to also other devices. So that's the brief explanation to how to configure your router. Thank you so much for viewing up to this point. Kindly like our videos, share and subscribe. I hope you've all understood what the internet entails, what is service provider, and what is a router, and all the accessories related to accessing the internet. So if you visit the service provider and agree on the prices of the packages you need from them, you can also visit us at Nelcity Technologies, Ambwere Fraha building, opposite Muliro Gardens, Kakamega. We are located first floor. So you can visit us for all your networking accessories, from routers, access points, networking cables, and so many other networking accessories. Kindly visit our shop, and if you have inquiries, also visit our shop, then we'll also explain more on the topic. Thank you so much for the support. Love you guys. Bye.